Hi everyone, this is Stephanie with Hightower Stitching, bringing you the conclusion of the yo-yo block and waffle block quilt. Sometimes you just get excited when something gets over. I was so excited to have this idea. I haven't had one in ages. And then to actually get it to come to an end and it's liked. That's really nice. The whole purpose of this one is to tell you some finishing points that I'd like to share with you that if you try this project might help you. And the quilt that you were just looking at has got 7 by 7 blocks, and it ends up being approximately 41 inches by 41 inches. And that's just because I ran out of that great green that I had to stop. I probably would have kept going. But that said, I wanted to make sure, because this one is handled differently, and that's what people were worried about. Well, what about? So my what about is when I sewed my yo-yos together, I did 3 laps with the thread, and then I knotted it with about 3 knots in that same spot, and then cut it. And I think that should hold it. And then when I sewed the waffle block to the yo-yo block, I'll show you that on the back, I put those face to face and then did the same thing. I went in over to the edge and I did the 3, and I could run down through there, and 3 and run down through there. Then I knotted it and I could travel over to here. If I had enough thread, then I had to reinforce or enforce this connection between 2 waffle blocks, and I just ran my thread over and over about 3 times. It was double thread. All of it that I did for this project was double thread, and then I ran the knot into it. So that, I'm hoping, it's going to make this last a long time and be a lot of fun. Then one of the things I was going to suggest is when you start, think about your corner being a solid instead of being a yo-yo block, and then have the yo-yo come after that. And that would probably make that corner stronger too, because the sides might have had trouble, but the corner would be where people would pick it up and hold it. So that would be one suggestion. And as I was looking at it, I thought, well, maybe I could have figured out a way to actually put a green border, a 2 or 3 inch border around the outside, but that's for another yo-yo waffle project. One concern that came up from my daughter and her friend was, what about the yo-yos that are along the edge, that maybe they'll get somebody will grab it and they'll come apart. And I thought, okay, well, I'm going to put my brain to this. And I actually came up with a bar that goes across the top. And let's see, turn this right here. Okay. And I started with the green color, the main color, and I didn't like it. Isn't that funny? Because it was the same thing everywhere. But I said, well, then I'm just going to go with the colored fabrics. And if I can find fabrics that were in the front, that would be fun. That was just a little challenge. And what I did was I took a 2-inch piece of fabric. I folded it in 1/4 on one side and 1/4 on the other side, sort of like you do with a bias attachment that you can use. And then I tucked under the pieces over here on the side. And I was going to make sure this stuck. So I took Wonder Web and I ran a piece of Wonder Web behind it and ironed it really good so that would stay. But then I went and I hand stitched all the way around to make sure that it would stay. And I'm really pleased with it. And when you look at the front, it doesn't cause any kind of a visual issue. And when I got to the corner, I did those last, and here's the orange corner. I took a strip that would go from one area all the way up, And then I sort of did one of those turns you do when you do a quilt, and then came down. There again, I took my Wonder Web and put it under both sides and pressed it because it was just a little strip, a smaller strip. And then I did top stitching all the way around. And that was really fun because I felt like it was more and more my quilt as I did more and more stitching and did different things. So those are some things that if you decide to try this, it is fun. And it's so nice just to sit there and watch TV, watch a series or a marathon. And it's amazing how much you can get done. This is Stephanie at Hightower Stitching. If you like this, please subscribe and hit like. And leave comments. You may have a suggestion that everybody would like to hear or that I might need to finishing this quilt, which is finished now as far as I'm concerned. Thank you for watching.